No sign that anyone's been here in ages.
맵은 그렇게 안 큰 것 같은데.
Do you remember when we were children and the missionaries came to tell us about the gods? They told us we could see them in the stars.
얘 이름이 되게 낯이 익는데. 이어봐라.
I remember when I heard that, I snuck out at night and climbed the watchtower in the old fort because I wanted to see them better. That fort burned down a few years ago when we cast the missionaries out. It was the missionaries who set fire to it. They didn't want us to be able to use it. Shame. There was history in that fort.
선교사들이 전부 신문관으로 변했다. 여긴 저와 당신의 고향.
I miscalculated many things since this began. I'm relieved you weren't one of them. It's a good thing we didn't hang you. I always knew this path would have consequences, but I never wanted to see Kratom suffer on my behalf.
크레이튼이 뭐였지?
I don't think I can stay here any longer. I am told the Inquisition is gathering an army, that they have sent messengers to bargain with rulers from distant lands. Kratom is not built to withstand a siege.
어떤 지역 이름 같은데.
If war is coming, I should be doing what Theos is doing. I will need allies. Allies on a stronghold that can resist an invading army.
오시오누스?
Oceanus. They have held off many would-be invaders, and their king has no love of the Inquisition's faith. I wonder, would he listen?
들어왔어. 몸 안에. 매장성. 둘은 빼고.
Ready, Watcher.
Uh-huh.
I'm here.
오. 이것 봐라. 안쪽으로 파고들긴 했는데 역시 뭐 스펙이 딸리진 않네요. 지금 어제 만렙이라 큰 변수는 없었어.
Well, I'll see what I can find.
대충 본편 스토리 끊긴 부분을 좀 기억해 보면은 타오스가 이 매장섬으로 이제 여기 매장섬 지하라고 해야 되나? 어디 떨어지는 곳이 있는데 거길로 이제 들어가가지고 따라가기 위해서는 신들의 그 축복을 받았어야 됐거든. 하얀 대장간의 마지막 칼날. 여기서 DLC 관련 그게 나오네요. 한손검이야? 심플하게 좋네. 그래서 신들에게 축복을 받고 DLC로 넘어왔던 건데.
I'm on the trail.
Margaret's fire casts light.
Right here.
빼고.
I'm here.
What? How may I help? Architect, where's that?
자, 뭐야? 아. 좋아. 여기가 입구인가?
Well,
Slow and silent.
막힌 통로라고 돼 있네요. 지금 못 가는 데인가? 돌무더기를 살펴보. 지렛대로 돌무더기 치우. 뭐야, 들어갈 수 있나 본데. 또 알로스 너냐? 매장섬 절벽이. 체질 마이너스 4야.
what?
Ready, Watcher.
스펙터.
Yes.
Right here.
Architect, where's that?
1번 오케이.
네.
2번
Right here.
큰 변수는 없는 것 같은데. 레이스 계열이 많았구나 여기.
A blade in the dark.
그래, 하나 나올 줄 알았어. 야영지. 이속 3신발. 이속 3. 페널티 5. 얘도 이속 신발. 이속 신발이 없어서 못 쓴 거였지 사실. 이속 신발. 생각보다 이속이 높으면 좋을 때가 많아서.
Yes.
아, 같은 길이었구나.
I'll keep an eye out.
영혼.
Slow and silent.
Well,
쭉
I'll keep an
돌아봅시다.
eye out.
nice and quiet.
뭐냐 이건?
Well,
빼고.
what?
I'm here.
이렇게 안 바뀌냐? 딜이 얘는? 면역이 좀 센 편인가? 아직 안 풀렸어?
Okay.
확실히 이속이 빠르니까. 얘 계속 그거네. 됐다, 풀렸다.
Of course.
제가 은근 내성이 높아서 잘 안 걸리길래 패시브 따로 안
Yes.
찍었거든. 바로 여기서 티가 나네. 힘 3.
I'll keep an eye out.
What is it?
무덤.
That's it. As you wish.
여긴 봤나? 이 영혼이 여기 잡고 나서 나온 것 같은데 다 모으고 가야 뭐 되는 게 있나? 그냥 아니면 그냥 뭐 그냥 별 의미 없는 건가? 뭐 뒤쪽에 문이 있어가지고 영혼이 있어야만 뭐 열리는 걸 수도 있으니까.
I'm on the trail.
I'll keep an eye out.
이 뒤쪽으로 못 가나? 아, 갈 수 있구나.
Let's see what we got.
메아리 동굴. 동굴인데 입구가 없는데.
That's unusual.
아영지 하나. 별거 아니지만 알로스 저거 지워야지.
What is it?
다 돌았나 진짜? 여기만 남았네요. 딱 봐도 맵이 그렇게 안 컸어, 사이즈가. 뭐야?
Yes.
영혼. 이게 그 구덩인가 보구나. 떨어지는.
Another turn, Inquisitor. I ask again, Jovara Ixensios, do you confess to these heresies of which you stand accused? Do you confess to apostasy?
I confess to renouncing a mistake.
Do you confess to conspiracy against the one true faith?
I confess to opening minds.
Do you confess to
어딨댔니요?
false prophecy?
I confess to following a false prophet.
Indeed. And where might we find this heretic?
He wears the robes of a Grand Inquisitor.
You have no followers here, heretic. Your lies hold no sway in the court of the penitents.
Only my truth, then.
Another turn.
No! Wait!
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
뭐야? 뭐 어차피 우린 들어갈 때가 여기긴 한데.
No time to lose nerve now, Watcher. What's one more trial for a soul on the brink of doom?
세이브하고 들어가자. 아, 이 앞에 있던 석상이 우디카 조각상이었어. 우디카가 그거였잖아요. 타오스랑 쿵짝쿵짝 해가지고 지금 악의 근원. 구덩이 속을 들여보자 영혼들이 주위에 모여들었다. 영혼들이 당신의 몸을 그 모아왔던 영혼들이 그거구나. 영혼들이 당신이 떨어지는 속도를 느리게 하긴 했어도 당신은 여전히 너무 빨리 떨어지고 있다는 느낌이 들었다. 운동 7. 알로스 또 너냐? 알로스는 통제력을 벗어나 버둥거리며 마구잡이로 떨어지고 있어. 당신은 구조를 시도할 수도 있지만 땅이 매우 빠르게 가까워지고 있다. 동료를 향해 돌진한다. 알로스를 낚아채 당신을 인도하는 영혼들 품으로. 오케이. 운동 11. 액트 4 콘텐츠를 즐기기에는 레벨이 높은 상태. 기본으로 가겠어. 액트가 있었어 이 게임? 액트 조절이 있던 건지는 몰랐네요. 그냥 일자 진행 아니었어? 액트가 나눠져 있었다고? 이게 나오면 액트 시작인가 보구나. 그럼 좀 분량이 되나 보네. 그냥 여기 들어가서 보스 잡고 끝나는 줄 알았거든.
Breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath. Their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient
다시는 못 올라가는 거야?
Look above at the opening you jump
워프가
through.
있겠지?
Now barely a speck of light like some distant star alone in the cosmos and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
Well, that went better than I expected.
Think I dislocated my.
근데 만일 거기서 알로스 못 구했으면 알로스 여기 사라지나?
Shattered knees. Good. Just me then.
별들의 모임.
Looks like all my parts are still moving.
오. 어차피 다치면 여기서 이걸로 회복을 할 수 있겠네.
Let's see what we got.
또 있네. 많이 주네 이거. 안 사고 오기 잘했다 이거.
The work of a moment. The work of a moment.
함정 난이도도 높진 않네요.
You might find this interesting.
What? I'll let my...
Nice and quiet. Yes?
이런데 누가 함정을 설치한 걸까? 단순하게 그렇지 않아? 토파즈.
Yes, light, flame, and sound.
얘가 지금 많이 하구나.
Right here. I heard you.
치고 오케이. 평범해.
Well,
엔딩 보자 오늘.
I'll keep an eye out.
길이 여러 굴레로 갈리네. 아이고 됐다.
Hey,
평범한데?
yes? The work of a moment.
몹이 있진 않나? 아유. 세이브 잡을 걸 그랬나? 에? 당신 머리 위로 영운석 기둥이 솟아 있었는데 이거군요. 당신이 다가가자 불길은 힘을 얻고 견고해진 것 같더니 불길 사이로 가로막던 충돌들이 사라졌다. 감옥의 습기찬 바닥 위에 유령 같은 형체가 떠오르면서 이오바라가 모습을 드러냈다. 감옥에 갇힌 건가 보네요. 그녀는 늙지 않았지만 지금은 어딘가 다르게 느껴졌다. 눈가가 움푹 들어가는 흔적이 보여. 약간 일러스트도 바뀌었어 살짝. 얼굴 위에는 불길이 한번 스쳐간 후 벌레가 먹은 것처럼 얼굴에 화성자국.
You've come back. I had thought to have set you on the right path ages ago. Or did I merely fail a second time?
뭐지?
You are so different now from who you were then, yet much remains the same. Old troubles with a new face. What is it that has brought you here? I'd hoped after our last discussion you would find what you sought. Has it eluded you all this time? I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Theos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here now. They do not come by choice.
그쵸. 이 게임이 어찌보면 궁극적인 그거였지. 이 타오스라는 애가 잉그비스 시절 그 영혼 추출기 같은 걸 이용해가지고 이 시대 사람들에게 영혼을 계속 끌어 모았죠. 그걸로 인해 생긴 부작용이 이제 그 와이드웬의 유산이라는 그 영혼 없이 태어나는 애기들이었고, 그 외적으로 옛날에 그 디파이언스만에 있던 유령마을, 거기도 뭐 그런 위치였고, 그렇게 모은 걸 어디다 쓰나 했더니 우디카에게 주려고.
After all this time, he would
딱
still
저
stand
방금 그
against
한 줄로 딱 정리가 됐죠.
I will tell you what I remember.
제 영혼이 포기하지 못하는 무언가가 있다. 그게 뭔지 알아야 하는데 시간이 부족하다.
I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was. He had inspired something.
그러니까 이 이오바라는 주인공의 전생과 아는 사이인 거잖아. 그래서 이거 계속 지난번이랑 뭐 옛날이랑 뭐 그 얘기를 하는 게 그런 거 같은데.
It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true.
얘기할지 말지 결정하는데 도움이 될 만한 무언가를 찾는 듯한 당신 일행사.
That the gods aren't real.
신들은 가짜라고.
I'd dreaded the idea from the moment the Delimgon suggested it. And yet, it almost feels like a relief.
이것도 게임 초반에 그 얘기하면서 잠깐 언급을 했었는데, 그 디비니티 그 신이었나? 거기서도 결국에는 막상 신이라고 나온 애들이 사실 별것도 없었어가지고 그냥 조금 고대인 느낌이었죠. 죽은 고대인들이 뭐 약간 초월적인 힘을 얻어가지고 신 행세를 하고 있는 뭐 그런 느낌이었는데,
She's not serious.
여기도 비슷한가 보네요.
Perhaps not to her. Many are those whom the gods have scorned.
That doesn't seem possible.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all.
인간이 만든 존재. 이거 좀 특이하다. 인간이 만든 존재?
Something created by people. They were conceived by Engwyth, a
잉그위스인들이
society of
상상해낸
high
거라고?
minds and broad concerns. Theos's people.
무슨
In their
말이야?
time,
상상만으로
every people
만들었다? 그럼
worshipped its own
그 실체가
gods.
없다고?
Sometimes they
무슨
warred
의미지, 이게?
over it. After a few wars of their own, the Engwythans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators.
아, 그러니까 옛날에는 그냥 자기들마다 믿는, 그러니까 상상하는 신이 있어가지고 그런 싸움이 많았는데, 그러다가 이제 지쳐가지고 진짜 신을 한번 찾아보자라고 간 거구나.
Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world.
답을
and
알아냈다?
unlocked its
답이
secrets.
없다는 게 답이야?
One day, they found an answer. Except the answer was no answer at all.
그래서 잉그위스인들 중에 몇 명이 직접 신이 되기로 한 건가?
Or if there ever were, they were gone. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? But they had mastered many things in their pursuit of these answers.
맞나 보. 아, 대충 뭐 그런
They
느낌이네요.
crafted their own gods to
이
fill
신을
the world.
찾기 위해서 이것저것 많이 하다 보니까 능력이 많아진 거야. 그래서 이제 자기들이 직접 신을 만들고 신앙을 퍼뜨린 거야.
I never thought of it as fate, but I think you are right to call it that. Let the world see. Let them decide what to do. I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed, that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth... The Engwythan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them, and in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. I found the door to their chambers closed, but the room was stone and the door thin. Their voices carried.
아, 얘도 이렇게 이런 식으로 알게 된 거야?
I
원래
investigated the
들어서
things they spoke of, and everything was there,
그리고 조사해봤더니
just as they
사실이었고.
said it be.
몇몇 잉그리스인들이 제 말에 설득력이 있음을 느끼고 제 편에 섰다. 제가 모르고 있던 것도 알려주었다.
You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof,
증명은
and
못해?
it may be certainty your soul craves. Resolution. But if you are bound for the same place Theos directs these souls, you will see for yourself, as you once did. Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the stomach to ask what if. And in avoiding the question, what if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
협작품 변명.
But that's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
얘는 에오타스를
The
믿는구나.
power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
Margaret set a path for me. She is fickle and cruel, but that is how she teaches. You know nothing of the fires that have shaped me.
And what if the fires themselves were lies? Lies you told yourself to bridge the gap between experience and truth.
갑자기 이거 장르가 그 뭐야 그 무슨 어스였는데 영화 중에 자기가 뭐 불사의 존재인데 오래 살다 보니까 사람들에게 신으로 추앙 받아가지고 이제 사실은 신이 없다라는 거를 종교인들한테 하나하나 이제 논파하는 뭐 그런 영화가 있는데 갑자기 그런 분위기.
What if you had always been alone, without guidance?
Well, as poorly as I've chosen my guides, I suppose it would be a comfort to know that I'm free of them.
The freedom has always been. What if our burdens come to us not because they are meant to be, but because they happen to be?
We fulfill them anyway, because they still matter to the people around us, even if we know better.
What if your body is destined to outlive your purpose?
And keep me caged up? Like you? I ain't gonna let my soul go to rot in this thing.
You may have little choice in the matter, but as to your purpose, that choice is yours.
우리가 아무것도 확신할 수 없다면 어떨까요? 그럼 2단 이거 같은데.
There is bliss to be found in the things we create, but sorrow as well. Every creation bears the imperfections of its creator, and its creator's creator. Art and song are creations, but so are weapons and lies. We must be careful that
우리가
our
창조한
creations
것들이
do
우리를
not consume
집어삼키지
us.
않도록 조심해야 한다.
I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
진실은 언제나 하나.
If that is truly what you believe, then you are a far different person than the one I knew. I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. There is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know.
미련을 못 버리고 알고 싶어하는 게 하나 있는 거야.
I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you?
그치, 이단 신문 하는 거 자체가 말이 안 되네. 신이 없다라는 걸 알았는데도 이단 신문을 계속 하는 이유, 얘 그게 궁금하다는 거잖아. 사실 이거 아니었을까요?
Boudica gifted him a great many things, but his ability to manipulate was always his own.
남을 조종하는 능력은 그만의 능력. 타오스 얘기하는 건데.
Good. Good. The things I taught, the things I believed, I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't because...
당신이 모든 걸 알고서도 아직도 거짓말을 믿기를 원하는 게 아니란걸요. 제 목적은 잘못된 거였군요. 목적이 뭐였길래?
We knew little of each other before you arrived at my camp. You might have been anybody, which is why your choice meant everything. You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who? I expected dissent, but I needed to know that true faith would prevail. Perhaps I've been wrong to place so much importance on one person's actions. Even knowing what you've told me, some part of me knows it doesn't truly answer what I wished to know, nor will an eternity of silent contemplation. I will have only my guesses and suspicions. And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made?
모르겠다. 모르겠다 이건. 다시 그때로 돌아가면 그런 선택을 할까? 사실 현실적으로 생각하면 보통 뭐 그런 얘기 하잖아. 과거로 돌아가면 뭐가 바뀔까, 뭐 그땐 뭐 이렇게 했으면 좋겠지라고 해도 막상 내가 기억을, 지금의 기억을 갖고 돌아가지 않으면은 분명히 똑같이 행동했을 것 같긴 한데, 하지만 이건 이미 과거의 일이니까.
You have always had my forgiveness, no matter your reason. There are circumstances behind that reason we all share. Knowing that, it is difficult to hold spite in one's heart. At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish. But now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Theos that your agony lies.
당신이 괴로워하는 원인은 타오스와 함께 그늘진 태양에 있다.
But for him. And it may be that only yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know.
그늘진 태양이란 곳은 뭡니까? 그래서 뭔데? 당신이 직접 보고 스스로 판단하라고.
You will not find a more resolute being on all of Eora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides.
결론은 걔를 거의 죽기 직전까지 몰아낸 다음에 걔 영혼을 읽어내라는
when he can no
거겠네요.
longer defend himself, in a matter of speaking. This is Braeth Yamen, the court of the
브레이스 이야먼.
Souls are confined here until they repent. They must beg the forgiveness of a god, pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. In truth, they
여기가
receive
얘네가
leaves
말하는 일종의 영혼의 수레바퀴구나.
The spite of Whitaker is eternal. They linger above, at the site of the old court, and are not permitted to leave the island, forever severed from the cycle. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition, but time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning.
빌런님 안녕하세요.
Brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Theos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then.
사실 이게 정답이죠. 그리고 신이 가짜라는 걸 알았으니까.
They aid you because they would bend you to their own purposes. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing. But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end. Last time someone asked me that, I was bound to an iron wheel with a broken spine. There are many things I've come to doubt about the choices I made in life, but that trial was my one moment of certainty, even without a chorus of gods to tell me I had been right.
이단 신문을 받았던 게 확신을 가진 순간이었다고?
The gods need to be reminded that we have a spirit, and that spirit is proof against their power. They have the power to manipulate and confuse and ruin us, but not to change our will.
의지까진 바꿀
I
수
will
없어.
remain here until the world crumbles and fades from existence with joy in my heart, knowing I've shown them what they truly are. Theos will not wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again.
신들이 용서받은 자들의 영혼을 저에게 주었다. 같이 가는 건가? 뭐 나중에 뭐 한대 뭐 이벤트가 있나?
If I repent, all I have done has meant nothing.
그래? 이 사람과 주인공이 연결돼 있었구나.
Your soul deserves an end to its suffering. I'm sorry I wasn't able to grant it myself. If ever we should meet again, in this life or any other, I hope to find you at peace.
끝이야? 아니 제가 뭐라 설명하기 힘드네.
Of course.
왜 쟤 도망갔냐 방금?
As you wish.
뭐야 왜 이리로 못 지나가? 여기 함정이 맞나?
Yes.
보통 함정이 있으면은
What is it? That's it! Kill them all! What is it?
That's great.
Ready, Watcher.
What?
야 이속이 빨라서
Yes.
면역이야. 안으로 못 들어가나 더? 팔이 안다. 역시 레벨이 깡패이긴 한가 진짜? 거의 안 다른데 우리? 진짜.
What is it?
이게 DLC를 한번 다녀와서
The work of a moment.
본편은 이제
What is it?
영혼 수호자 기도.
Margaret's fire casts light in.
그래서 여기 스토리가 엄청 길지 않은 이상 어지간하면 엔딩 볼 것 같은데 오늘. 딱히 마법을 안 써도 돼. 그냥 한 번 정도 이렇게 쓱 혼란 같은 것만 좀 걸어주고 디버프 한 번 걸어주면 게임 초반이 제일 힘들었어 역시. 예상도. 여기 지금 꼈나? 위치가? 원래 이런 게임 할 때 초반에 시스템을 몰라가지고 힘든 것도 있고 난이도 때문에 난이도가 높아서 이제 힘든 것도 있는데 역시 예상대로 난이도가 높아도 후반 가면 그냥 똑같이 되네요.
I'll keep an eye out.
Yes.
그래서 이런 게임 할 때 오히려 난이도를 낮추고 시작하면 그러니까 후반 가면 더 쉬워지다 보니까 그게 좀 그렇더라고요. 이런 류 게임의 특징이라고 해야 되나? 디비니티도 그렇고.
Yes.
한 바퀴 돌았는데. 뿅.
Hi.
Ready.
뭐야 이거? 얘 피가 왜 차냐? 패시브 같은 게 있나? 때리고 있는데 피가 차길래.
Well,
I'll keep an eye out.
I'll see what I can find.
유니크라도 하나 주나? 오! 진짜네. 모닝스타 치명 다시 영혼 파괴를 시전. 고정 데미지 30. 교전수 플러스 1. 교전수 플러스 1이라. 미묘.
what is it?
다 한 거 같은데 이제.
So, it's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years.
아 이거 먹고 갈까?
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place.
그치, 인간은 뭐 약간 그런 얘기 많잖아. 종교 관련 이야기 나오면은.
I'm surprised to hear you say this. It seems that much harm comes from imposing authority where perhaps none is needed. We've seen the atrocities that members of the Leaden Key have committed without even understanding why or for whom they act.
For once, the half-souled elf is right. To live in ignorance is to allow the gods to have their way with us.
I've also been thinking. There won't be much left of Theos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate. That will leave the Leaden Key headless. Perhaps it's best it stays that way.
누군가가 그 자리를 채워야 한다고? 타오스의 자리를? 정확히 남열쇠의 이야기겠죠?
Then let's face Theos. When this is all over, I'll make sure that no one is able to commit his abuses again.
두 번째 거 있으면 큰일 날 뻔했네.
What is it?
잠깐 얘도 하나 있네.
Well, doesn't that just beat all? Here I was wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods.
그치, 신도 사람이 만든 거니까 결국엔 사람이 문제네. 사람이 문제야.
Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war? I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded. I don't know. When Woden left for war, we had a fight, as brothers will. About him going off to war. He was set on it. But my parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your God...
그 신앙 자체가 이미 근본이 없는 거였는데.
Me? I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one.
그렇겠지, 독실한 신앙이라면. 왜냐면 나는 순간 그 옛날 군대에 보통 가면은 종교가 계속 바뀌잖아요. 그러니까 뭐 그건 독실한 건 아니니까 그런 건.
I said every
가벼운
vicious thing I
마음으로.
could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told me he'd better be able to face his God one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning.
형은 이미 생각을 바꿨다는
Of
사실이었어.
course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field. If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it.
같이 갔으면 죽었지, 그치?
He asked me to trust him the day he left. Said if I went with him, he'd make sure we were on the right path. And he deserved that. He deserved that trust from me. Raid Saris is a long way to walk on your own. I think I'd have liked to have been there with him on that journey. Even knowing how it ended. Still one more mess we gotta straighten out.
As you wish.
한번 하고 되게 이 야영지를 많이 준다.
Yes.
하긴 마지막 여기가 후반 거의 끝이니까 그럴만도 한데. 타오스를 찾으십시오. 진짜 끝인가?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we note a rather sharp drop somewhere around here?
뭔가 빠르게 떨어지는 소리. 위에서 흡수한 영혼을 여기서 쓰는 거야? 횃불 용도였네. 잠깐, 근데 이대로 가면은 이게 다음 시리즈, 그러니까 2에서는 사람들이 다 알까? 신이 없다라는 걸. 세계관이 어떻게 바뀔지가 되게 궁금하네요.
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
What is it?
영혼 단절. 이거다. 아까 배운 거. 마비로 만드는 거군요.
Well,
다이아몬드.
Good thing I'm freshly greased.
속도 장화 또 준다. 오, 잉그위스 쉐이드. 고대인의 영혼 같은 건가? 생긴 건 무슨 종처럼 생겼는데. 쉐이드가 일종의 그 유령 계열 몬스터 이름이었거든.
keeping an eye out.
여기 있다 뭐. 우와.
Right here.
때리고 얘 누구지? 시간이? 뺏었다.
Right here.
Yes?
안 좋은데 이건. 안 걸린 것 같은데. 오케이.
Indeed.
생각보다 튼튼해. 쉐이드 주제. 때려.
What is it?
쟤도 베슬 계열이었나
See
보네.
what we got.
I'm on the trail.
클릭이 안 되는데 이거.
I'm on the trail.
Nice and quiet.
이쪽 라인을 내가 안 봤던 것 같은데 봤나? 와일? 와일 얘 그거잖아. 신 이름 아닌가? 빨리 얘기부터. 보자. 그 형체의 모습이 당신 눈앞의 변화. 와일. 남성에서 여성, 온라인에서 오모아인으로 바뀌며 뼈가 길어지고 털은 피부 속으로 희미해졌다. 계속 모습이 바뀐다는 설정인가 보네요.
You understand the value of a mystery watcher, a buried scroll, a hidden truth. These are my ways.
얘가 무슨 지식의 신 그런 개념이었나?
You unravel a thread, watcher, one you have lost and discovered over generations. And following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning.
쉽게 좀 말해줘. 이제 거의 끝이 다 왔는데 그 의미를 퇴색시키려고 답을 찾기 위해 과거를 뒤져보아도 또 다른 비밀이 드러날 뿐이지. 우리카가 힘의 균형을 어그러뜨리는 것을 막기 위해 이곳에 왔다.
A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question at the beginning of yours. What would you do with them?
아, 그러니까 타오스가 지금 잡아두고 있는 영혼을 어떻게 할 거냐 물어보는 거구나. 이걸 풀어줘가지고 할로우본 치료를 하는 건지, 아니면은 순환의 고리로 돌려가지고 다시 이제 환생, 그 순환으로 돌리는 건지, 아니면 디어 우드의 다른 영혼들을 강하게 할 수 있다. 그리고 얘네들은 없애길 바란다. 개인적으로는 저는 이게 맞다고 보는데, 이미 죽은 애들이기도 하고, 죽었다고 하기도 좀 그런가? 이게 좀 더 맞는 건가? 할로우본으로 된 애들은 돌아가는 게 맞는 것 같고, 이걸로
A
가겠습니다.
song the world knows and tires of. The droning chorus repeated again and again. Better the improvised melody, the unfolding chant. The listeners sit rapt, and just when they think they have the tune, it changes again. Even the gods require fresh mysteries.
영혼들을 신이 정한 운명대로 넘겨버리지 마라. 온갖 존재의 그들을 뿌려라. 행선제의 신도 필멸자도 아니다. 이거 그냥 그래픽이 아니라 영상 틀어놓은 것 같은데, 화질이 좀 떨어진 거 보니까 그냥 요것만 반복되는 영상을 하나 준비해서 그냥 뒤에 틀어놓은 것 같아요. 해상도가 다른 게 티가 나. 방송으로 보시면 잘 모를 수도 있는데, 이 영상 자체가 4K 영상이 아니다 보니까 제가 보는 모니터에서는 좀
None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again.
이 와일이란 애는 영혼을 그냥 완전 풀어버리라는 뭐 그런 건가?
No end, Watcher. That is the purpose. That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
Yes.
Good thing I'm freshly greased.
이쪽은 못 지나가는 건가? 뭔가 분위기가 그런데. 갈 수는 있어? 여기 들어가면 빛나나 보구나. 오야. 오야.
Indeed.
앞에 라인부터 정리해. 얘가 맞고 있는 거야?
What is it? And what does the flame reveal?
여기 문이 있네요. 법정? 여기가 목적지인가?
I'm on the trail.
And what does the flame reveal? They won't see me coming.
I?
쏘고
How may I help?
확률 100%야.
Ready, one.
얘가 맞았네.
Good thing I'm freshly greased.
Yes. Laying low.
그냥 뭐 유니크도 없고 뭐가 없네. 생각보다 너무 뭐가 없는데.
A blade in the dark.
못 가. 어이? 길이 없나? 오케이, 들어가 보자 이제. 2에서는 메인 직업을 뭘로 하지? 전사결로 갈까? 차라리. 생각보다 수도승이 별로였어 이번에.
Well,
뭔가 재미가 좀 떨어져서 딜러로 갈지. 법사는 왠지 안 땡기고. 딜러? 도적? 도적 아니면은 딱히 뭐가 없다. 양손검 전사? 양손검 전사도 괜찮고.
yes.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Let's see what we got.
This is a missionary, same as I was, taught the wrong things as I was.
뭔가 그 디아블로 3의 그 마지막 부분 보면은 막 영혼 나오는 데 있잖아. 약간 거기 생각난다.
Oceanus. They have held off many would-be invaders.
그게 확장팩 마지막
You are
부분이다.
ready to give a confession?
I am ready to hear one from you.
세이브 잡고 여기가 전투인가 보지? 고대인들의 기억 퀘스트 성공. 마지막 보스는 뭘까? 용은 이미 몇 번 봤고 큰 거 오나? 타오스가 서 있다.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here?
모든 저 석상들은 누구 것?
They are monuments to Woodica's greatest servants among my
하인들의 기념비야. 이거
I hope to
무슨
join them myself one
아까
day.
디아블로 이야기 나와서
My
그러는데 그
work is
바바
not
삼형제 같은 건가? 갑자기 얘네가 부활하는 거 아니야? 이 석상이? 그러고서 대결? 어?
The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound.
그래도 뭐 지금 스펙이 워낙 좋으니까.
We are in a sanctum holy to Woodica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me. That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build. It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it.
혼돈을 구조화하? 당신이 믿었던 모든 것, 신들을 위해 했던 모든 행동에 대해서.
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things.
대답을 계속 회피하네요.
We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months.
계속 회피해.
You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
협박의 눈빛이야. 생각보다 많이 큰데 석상이. 아, 3마리는 아니고 2마리구나.
How did you find it? Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason. That woman did more in her misery than most accomplish with their clear, ignorant minds. If only she had obeyed. Such a waste of rare talent and intellect.
희귀한 재능과 지성을 얘가 인정할 정도로 재능이 있는 인물이었나 보구나. 웹부인이 평범한 인물은 아니었던 거야.
What of your cohorts then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them
꼬라지를
here?
보니까 얘랑
Or is it
이렇게 두
mind
개가
that
싸우는
suggests
건가?
That they have no direction of their own. You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
어? 바로 알아보네요.
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
Well, they made cake. And I think you can expect folks to get jumpy when the gods aren't there to reassure them. Maybe if they weren't all too busy trying to kill each other.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased. You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
그 갓해머 얘기하는 건가?
I served my goddess as you did yours.
얘가 타오스가 우디카를 섬기듯 얘는 마그란.
Yet the other builders were slain. 11 of a dozen.
그치, 12명 12인에 다 죽었고 얘만 남았죠.
Different, redeemable in your god's sight.
There was a message there, whether she meant it or not.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Theos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox.
갑자기 천연두?
State your name and purpose, young acolyte.
My name belonged to the gods and my hand to their service. No more.
You serve none but yourself. Without contact with your order, you can have no higher purpose. Only the base concerns of the flesh. You have cast yourself from our ranks.
And I should have done it years before. I'd rather live in
아,
uncertainty.
얘는 진짜로 얘들이 누굴 믿는지 보면 아는 거야? 알로스는 무신론자니까 얘가 지금 뭐 그런 식으로 얘기한 것 같은데.
And that uncertainty would lead you where it leads everyone. To doubt, to emptiness, to the many cruelties inspired by disbelief. You are far from home, dwarf.
I knew my hunt would send me a long way from Masuk. It was a challenge I was glad to undertake for my village.
A journey, then? It must be of some import to take you so far and to last so long.
It's important to Masuk, and so it's important to me.
A murderer given life beyond her body, beyond her own selfish purpose. My dear, you embody the very reasons Kith should not play with the tools of the gods.
Last I checked, it was your gods who set us up to destroy each other.
Your city was spared by a god. It was destroyed by Kith, who took matters into their own hands. Such are the excesses my order seeks to correct.
By tearing the souls out of little babies? That's some strong medicine.
Strong and lasting, the way it must be. We do not indulge the whims of bloodlust as you do.
되게 사이비 종교 같은
For the
멘트네요.
sake of a cure.
어?
You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives. I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
둘 중 하나는 이 방에서 죽을 것 같은데.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers.
진실을 받아들이기엔 적합하지 않았다는 것 정도는 내 할 바가
I lied to
아니야?
no one, not to you, not to anyone.
신들은
The gods
진짜.
are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it. Guilt is a disease of the mind. If the mind no longer believes it is guilty, then that is as good as absolution.
되게 궤변 아니야?
The heart of this country has skipped a beat, nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Telosus into civil war.
얘가 그 애기들 영혼 흡수한 게 이 나라가 심장박동이 한 박자 쉬어간 것 뿐이다 라고 지금 이 한 줄로 요약한 거죠 지금.
When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls. That's where you are mistaken. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them
아까
to take
얘기했던
slaves.
초창기
Gods
인도비스
that told
시절
them to make
얘기네요.
war upon their neighbors and
각자
devour
믿는
the
신이
slain.
있었다는.
Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith.
헐. 애기를 죽여서 그 애기들의 유골가루를 덮었어?
But all that changed when they learned of the true gods.
대종교의 시대였네.
Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts.
그런 상황까지 갔으니까 신을 직접 만들어가지고 이 체계를 만든 거야.
Dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark.
원시 부족에서 조금 진화한 느낌이긴 하다 근데 그렇게 얘기하니까. 그러니까 얘는 인간들을 이렇게 속이지 않았으면은 지금 같은 평화는 오지 않았다라는 거라고 생각하는 주인가 보네요. 계속 내비뒀으면은 각자 믿는 신이라면서 악행을 계속 저질렀을 거니까. 그래서 아까 이 전 이야기 중에 뭐 그런 얘기가 있었어. 뭐 인간을 믿어보는 게 어떠냐 뭐 그런 얘기들. 이거죠. 그 비슷한 뉘앙스가 이거야.
And replaced it with one far worse.
그리고 얘는 그걸 믿지를 않으니까 더 지독한 신이 그 자리를 차지하겠지 라고 얘기하겠네요.
Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust. For all my years, I have seen exactly what they are capable of. What the apostate asked was beyond any man.
근데 이것도 좀 납득이 가는 게 얘가 그 영혼 이동술 같은 걸로 지금 몇 세대를 살고 있잖아. 얘도 봐온 게 있으니까 이렇게 신념을 가지고 있는 건데 인간은 답이 없다라는 걸 이미 결론이 난 거야 얘는.
All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
사실 계속 얘가 질문을 회피하면서도 아까 위에서도 대답을 하긴 한 건데 대놓고 듣고 싶다는 거죠 이건.
You have not thought this through. There is no leaving this place for you. I allowed it once.
이제 전투인가?
Made it all too clear what a mistake. With your soul and thousands of others, I will
맞는 거 같지?
Hear me, Boudica. Your servant calls for aid.
큰 거 오나? 그래. 뿔이 멋있네요.
Right here.
I'm here.
쭉 빼고 쭉 빼고 쭉 빼고.
Uh-huh.
혹시 모르니? 면역이야? 아, 바로 못 죽이는 거구나. 그 와중에 죽었네. 걸리진 않았어. 뭔가를 쓸 거면 석화가 힐 한번 하고 요거 쓰고 혹시 모르니까 하나 먹자. 좋아 좋아. 시간이 저거 잡고 있고 얘가 터질 것 같은 느낌인... 아니 못 먹었구나 아까. 약을 못 먹었어. 힐을 좀 줘야 될 것 같은데. 다시 또 이렇게 되는구나. 오케이. 터지나? 시간이 일로 가고.
Ready, Watcher.
주인공 터지고. 뭐야, 주인공 살아있는 거야? 얘 왜 죽었냐? 여기 있었는데. 부활 있을 텐데.
I?
뺏겼어. 아니 얘가 없어가지고 부활이 가능하긴 하다. 무기를 이걸 갖고 있구나. 얘 부활하는 그거 있는데 이런.
How may I help?
하나 먹고.
Ready, Watcher.
못 잡지는 않을 거. 시간이가 살면은 못 잡지는 않을 것 같은데. 뭐 쓸만한 거 없나? 혼란은 안 걸리는 것 같고. 요런 거. 한 번 죽었네 지금. 이거 했고. 먹어.
Attack worth it.
큰 문제는 없을 것 같은데 그래도 능력치 뺏는 거 더 없었나?
우센!
이거 좀 그렇다. 요거 석화? 걸릴까? 걸린 것 같아. 뭐야, 잠깐. 에디오 죽었어? 이게 언제 끝나, 이거? 잡았다.
After journeying for lifetimes, I can't imagine his failure, knowing it was all for nothing.
He was good at serving his god, I give him that. He should have picked a better one. He spent his lives, more than any of us will ever know. For what? Binding the world to a lie. Could a man like that ever be redeemed?
Think he got sick of it all after a couple thousand years? Or did Woodica keep him on the leash?
타오스는 장치 옆에 섰고 이제 당신은 그와 하나가 되어 있다? 당신이 군중들을 둘러보자 주름진 노인들과 뺨이 통통한 여자아이들의 얼굴을 보였고 어머니들은 아이들을 조용히 시켰으며 뭐지? 당신은 혼자서 끝없는 여행을 떠날 준비를 했다? 지금 이 얘기가 게임 초반에 그 나왔던 영혼 추출기 거기 같은데 주인공이 그거를 딱 장치를 작동시켜서 거기 모여있던 사람들의 영혼이 지금 추출되는 걸 설명하는 것 같은데 그쵸? 제가 된 조각상들만 남았었지. 빗줄기들이 집중됐던 기둥의 꼭대기에 달라붙기 시작했다. 타오스의 영혼에 관심이 없었지만 그 영혼이 압도적인 피로감 때문에 곧바로 도망치지 못하자 쉽사리 조작할 수 있게 되었다. 내가 승리한 덕분에 그걸 장악할 수 있게 됐다는 느낌이 들었고 이제 당신이 원하는 대로 처리할 수 있었다. 영혼을 순환으로 돌려보낸다. 얘 영혼 어떻게 할지 그거야? 모든 기억 파괴. 영혼 파괴. 영혼 파괴가 그의 영혼 파괴가 2개 있는데 없애버리겠어. 인간은 고쳐 쓰는 거 아니라고 배웠어. 박살. 드디어 타오스가 죽었네요. 고대의 기억 속에서 당신과 타오스가 하나였을 때 당신이 말했던 단어였다. 당신은 그 단어가 장치를 작동시키는 암호임을 깨달았다.
What is it?
멘트가 생겼네요.
Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him?
오랜 질문에 대한 해답?
Those can be hard to come by. I feel for people still
그래서
looking
해답이
for theirs.
뭐였던 거지? 난 딱히 못
Easy
봤는데.
to see what it means to them to have someone to look to for answers. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good.
오케이.
Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to go in the first place. After what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make...
The end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to.
실제로 주인공 말고도
Seems you
주시자가
were a
있었죠.
field in need of a flame's cleansing.
DLC에서도 등장을 했었고.
But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A God's trial. And I will stand in judgment without mercy.
Astounding. I always knew the leaden key stood for something big, but I didn't quite realize what I'd gotten myself into. But even if you send the souls somewhere specific now, who knows what the next turn of the wheel will make of them? We can't really control what happens to them. Nor should we try. I had to see the monster Theos had become to realize that. It's your decision, of course. And whatever you decide, I'm glad our paths crossed in Gilded Vale.
진짜 끝이네요. 흐름이.
As you wish.
Never thought I'd see something like this in my travels. Lends a little perspective, doesn't it?
끝이야?
What is it?
장치. 이 선택이 이제 엔딩인 것 같은데. 과거의 타오스가 추종자들과 섰던 곳에 올라섰다. 당신 앞에 있는 장치는 가동될 준비가 되어 있다. 명령어를 말한다. 오케이. 보자. 미지의 장수를 퍼뜨린다. 이게 와일이 아까 부탁했던 거고, 윤회의 순환 이게 베라스였나? 원래 몸으로 돌려보낸다. 요게 내가 아까 하자고 했던 그거였고, 엔트로피로 분해하여 없앤다. 이걸로 가겠어요. 본래의 몸으로 되돌린다. 이걸 하면 아마 이게 후속작이랑 스토리가 이어진다고 치면은 왜 그 드래곤 에이지가 그런 게 있잖아요. 세이브 연동해가지고 좀 되는 거. 만약 이걸 하게 돼가지고 뭐가 바뀐다면 가장 이게 좀 체감이 클 것 같아서, 뭐 후속작 하게 되면은 옛날에 나는 뭐 할로우본이었어 뭐 그러면서 근데 어느 순간 영혼이 돌아왔어 뭐 이런 식으로 얘기가 나오지 않을까라는 생각에 모두를 붙잡아두기 위해 노력했지만 장치가 속도를 높이는 순간 그들이 빠져나가. 뭐야, 이거 안 되는 거야? 잠깐 당신은 그들 모두 한 번에 잡은 것 같은 기분이 느꼈지만 다시 찢어놓은 것처럼 그들의 힘도 커졌다.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis.
영혼이 풀려났다.
Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun and Shadow,
다시
and
올라왔구나.
embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Terra Evron after days of tunneling.
내가 떠날 때야 많은 부분이 변해 있었대. 시간 흐름이 달랐나 혹시?
You were faced with a different
몇십 년이
view
지나
than
있었나?
the one you had left. At your direction, the souls diverted by Theos were guided back to the vessels originally meant for them. For the first time, parents of hollow-born children woke to the cries of their infants and looked into
다
their eyes
돌아왔네요.
to see them staring back. People fell to their knees where they stood, thanking Helia or Mogren, or
애기들
even
영혼이
Olympus for
돌아왔대.
their forgiveness of whatever guilt they felt they bore. But for all the relief that had come to some parents, others only found new grief. For many thousands of Hollowborn had died during
그치.
White One's legacy.
할로본을
Many
직접
by
죽인
their parents' own
사람들.
hands. For those children, there would
돌아올
be no
육체가
hope.
없으니까.
Yet the last hollow birth was in the past now, and those parents willing to risk trying for a new child were frequently rewarded, often with twins.
쌍둥이가 태어났으면은 그때 그 못 태어났던 아이라고 생각할 수
As the
있겠구나.
year of Helia's splendor. The loss of the souls you had promised to Entropy would be no setback to Remergant, nor to Andra, for the beast of winter trudges ever forward, and the will of the Lady of Lament is as unstoppable as the tide.
뭐야?
In Deerwood, the weather quickly chilled. Unseasonable frosts destroyed the year's harvests before giving way to the coldest winter in memory. Many who survived the famine would soon freeze to death in their own homes. The oceans proved no safer. A barrage of squalls pounded the harbors along the Deerwooden coast for months, sending many ships to be forever lost in the depths of Andra's domain, either mourned or forgotten, both to the lady's liking.
내가 얘네들이랑
It is said that
약속해놓고
Galloway
안
was the
지켜가지고 그런
enforcer
건가?
of the guards, and is known to hunt down those who wrong them. To wrong Galloway, then, is truly to wake the beast. And the father of monsters took great umbrage at your broken promise to him. Along with Mogren and Abidan, Galloway embarked upon a more direct approach to claiming his quarry. In the months that followed, the frontier settlements of Deerwood
이유
were
없이
inexplicably
공격받았대.
attacked by packs of
괴물들은
beasts
갑자기
and
조직적으로
monsters,
움직였고.
suddenly organized and unafraid to approach Kith on their own land. Many such villages were all but destroyed by the time troops could be dispatched from local garrisons.
할로우본 애들은 구했는데 나머지가 다 폭망이야?
Often found themselves at the mercy of the fires of Mogren. A dry spell throughout Deerwood led to a rash of forest fires on a scale not seen since the War of Black Trees, and many settlements paid the price for their proximity to the wilderness. In the cities, meanwhile, dabblers in animancy who had placed souls into golems and other moving vessels soon found that their creations had risen up against them. Such constructs terrorized their surroundings, killing indiscriminately
이 골렘 이야기는
before
아비돈이겠지.
being subdued. Followers of Berith have a saying that life is a debt all must pay in death, and their god is known to always collect what is owed. In breaking your word to Berith, a debt was created. Souls were owed to the cycle, and the agents of the god of inevitability would not be refused. An epidemic of unexplained deaths struck Deerwood in the days that followed the legacy.
아, 전염병이
Most often,
퍼져서
the
죽는
dead would
거야.
be travelers on the road, known to be a favorite target of Berith's pallid knight, who exacts impossible tolls from those who have journeyed for too long. The elderly, too, seem to pass on in alarming numbers. But just as often, the deaths appeared to strike randomly, and for no reason at all. Those who sensed the involvement of the twinned god dubbed the calamity
그래도
Berith's
애기들은
price,
다시
supposing it
태어나니까.
a payment for the
그래.
end of Widewind's legacy.
후회는 없다.
Gilded Vale remained under the harsh rule of Lord Radric,
레드릭,
who reigned unopposed after the death of his cousin Kolsch. He
얘
continued to
결국
terrorize the people of
나쁜 왕
Gilded
됐구나.
Vale, looking for Aerthasians in their midst. But to Radric, the sudden and unexpected end to Widewind's legacy came as a sign of the success and righteousness of his efforts. And in time,
이걸
his
이렇게.
own people came to believe it too. He relaxed his use of authority, no longer seeing his own people as potential threats.
그래도 마지막은
And Gilded
괜찮네.
Vale began to regain some of its old luster. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside
완전
their own
슬럼가
doors
됐네.
alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in the unraveling of the conspiracy surrounding Widewind's legacy.
얘네는
They
무난하고.
were quickly reinforced by returning forces
내가 얘네 편
from
들어서
Breaker
그런가?
Castle.
예전에?
For the Knights, their resurgence marked a return to the tradition as well. Having seen firsthand the dangers presented by dabblers in animancy, the Order quickly abolished the practice internally, preferring the familiarity of their hammers and forges to the uncertainties of Essence and Adra. Their identity rediscovered, the Knights suppressed their political aspirations and began once again to train their recruits in the art of blacksmithing, recapturing the post-revolutionary ideals of Deerwood and regaining the respect of its citizens as a result. Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been drained of its accumulated essence, the machine had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families
남열쇠 그래 남아있구나 아직.
than members of the Leaden Key
다시 작동시켰대, 헐.
from their Grand Master, climbed the tower, and reactivated the machine. The initiates slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night, and watched as history repeated
와
itself.
대박.
The victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodans took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods
이걸 또
did not
이렇게
approve
해석하네.
of animancy, and that the purging of animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving animancers remained.
이제 시몬술사라고 하면은 어디 가면 이제 욕 먹기 딱 좋은 상황이네.
Practice their science without repercussions. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned. Abidon's renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Deerwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice. Additionally, Abidon's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Ingwithan ruins.
에이어 글람바스와의 관계가
Animancers and
험악해졌다.
craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Air Glanfath rose. As for Stalwart, The Battle of Kairon's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan's steel and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Raid Serens, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The battle against the Eyeless left Stalwart more hostile than ever toward the ogres in its midst, and the villagers grew bolder as they grew more prosperous. After a handful of bloody skirmishes, the Flames That Whisper clan left the Russet Wood to seek a quieter, more isolated home in the White March. While many such places existed in the mountains, the crossing was treacherous, and the ogres often found themselves embattled with other clans whose territory they passed. Less than half of the Flames That Whisper survived the journey, but those that did found a haven far from Kith lands. Harmka's death had brought the Devil of Carrick little satisfaction. In time, her taste for vengeance soured. What replaced it was a hunger to feel something, anything, new. Summer had thinned the snowpack twice over when she felt the joint at her elbow first begin to stiffen.
떠난 거야.
She turned her back on the hopes of animancy and civilization and walked east. She pushed through the mountains, past Raid Ceres, and into the broad plains of Ishamiddle. She had forgotten what it was like to simply journey, no goal or destination in mind. Though she felt nothing more than the steady thump of her feet on the road, the endless horizons and grassy meadows were new to her. She measured her time with the gradual rusting
결국
of
이제
her body.
몸이 아까 그 삐걱거린다고
unsatisfied.
했잖아 팔꿈치가.
Her movements slowed, but so did the world around her. Waist-high grasses undulated and tacked in the wind, as gradual as the tides. Sparrows and blackjays made steady pilgrimages across the sky, each flap of their wings a solemn salute.
이게 나중에 후속작에 얘 시체 나오는 거
She
아니야?
found something she had never seen before, the ocean. With the last of her strength, she pulled herself beneath the water, content at last to feel the movement of currents and the constant caress of the waves. Maneha never found the salt well, but she found a kind of peace in her duties as a gift-bearer and in the ebb and flow of
얘는
her
거의
journeys.
플레이를 안 해서 모르겠네요.
As she traveled and accepted burdens from Andra's supplicants, she saw in their eyes a kind of peace that she had not previously noticed. It was faith, not that Andra had freed them of their pain, guilt, and regret, but that she would, a little more each year. With that realization, Maneha learned to accept that Andra's ways were as gradual as they were inexorable. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every thane and earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwood and inns. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. The Audra dragon known as the Master Below,
그래 얘
the
궁금했어.
soul now housed in the body of the huntress Fallen Roet, passed out of Deerwood in relative anonymity, her final destination unknown, even to herself. She was last seen in the port town of Rhodes End, boarding a ship,
명명된
Audra talisman
항구.
glowing about her neck. Pallegina had missed the opportunity to complete her mission from the Duke's bells. The Deerwood's trade with Air Glanfath remained weak, but the Valian republics were unable to enter Glenfathan markets. For her repeated insubordination and loss of lucrative trade, Pallegina was cast out of the Brotherhood of Five Sons. She traveled north of the Eastern Reach, where she tried to avoid trouble as a caravan guard, but she could not escape the strange
경원이
looks and
됐군요.
unwanted attention her appearance brought. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Through a number of quiet inquiries, he soon found his way into the underground organization of
에오타스
Aethasians known
교단으로
as the
돌아가는
Night
거야?
Market. Ironically, in learning that the gods had been fabricated, Adair found his faith in Aethas renewed, and that his god was neither alive nor truly a god had become irrelevant. he rose quickly through the ranks of the night market for his optimism and for his bold leadership, his ultimate goal to make the Deerwood a place that would welcome followers of the Shining God once again. When the dust settled in Sun and Shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Exarchanon, his former master. He saw
맞다, 얘 원래 타오스 부하였지.
and what would be required to undo the harm Theos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Theos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience
타오스
to an
흔적을
authority
지우고
they did
다니고
not
있는
understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long
남열쇠배,
and lonely task of dismantling the leaden key.
잡으러.
With the Watcher's goals accomplished
열시네.
and his own vows fulfilled, Kanarua sailed back to Dakoa. His friends and family found him much changed, for a pall had fallen upon the man, smothering his former enthusiasm. Called before the Lore College, Kana told them of the pain the Engwithan legacy brought to the lands abroad. He insisted that a search for answers abroad could only fragment the Rawatai people, as it had done to the Deerwood. His findings were met with much respect, and Kanarua's voice came to be considered an influential one in the growing move towards Rawatai's isolation. With Theos defeated and the souls released from
이
Sun
아줌마.
and Shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. The grieving mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Deerford, where, to the astonishment of the villagers, she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there, and with each new birth, she saw a measure of hope restored to the Deerwood, and a measure of grace for her own troubled past. Durrance continued to blame Woodica for the atrocities of the Saints' War. Believing Magrin to have been a pawn in the machinations of the Queen that was, and feeling that Theos's expulsion had been a step towards reconciliation with his goddess, Durrance tried for a time to reopen communication with her. When only silence came, he took it as a condemnation of his continued existence. Ultimately, he built a pyre and threw himself upon it,
얘가 좀
using his
충격이다.
own shattered staff as kindling. You and Sagani never found Persoc together. The Adra figurine had gone dark by the time they emerged from Sun and Shadow, and it was another month before Sagani finally accepted that Persoc's trail had gone cold again. Her search took her beyond the Deerwood and as far as the Living Lands. She saw the great coastal cities of Rawatai and the ruins of Old Valia, absorbing the details of
그냥
these
여행하면서
strange
사나
and
보네.
distant lands. 20 years passed before the Adra figurine finally glowed again. When it did,
20년
she
후.
followed its signal to a quiet hamlet on the outskirts of Adir. There, she met a young farmer and told her of her past as an elder of Masuk. Sagani returned to a village that had forgotten her face, but remembered her story. Masuk greeted her with cautious warmth, and Sagani found that their ways had
이상한
become
낌새.
strange to her. She also learned that Kalu had perished of winter fever a few years before, and her middle child, Najuo, had died in a raid. But she found her daughter Yakona a hunter and mother of 3, and her son Malak a builder of mighty walls. In them, she came to find her place in the village, and the familiar contours of a world that had changed in her absence. For you, the death of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead, made no easier by your decision to bring an infant to Sun and Shadow.
아, 길었다. 엔딩 이거 뒷이야기도 되게 길었네요. 느낌상 이제 오늘 한 9시 조금 넘어서 끝날 줄 알았는데 10시까지 빡빡하게 채웠네요. 뒤에 더 있으려나? 다음 시리즈에서 유니티 엔진인가? 이게 아마 그 펀딩 해줬던 사람들 이름 같은데. 아우 어지러워. 끝났다. 자, 그러면 이걸로 필라스오브이터니티는 끝이 났고요. 아까 오늘 시작할 때 얘기했던 늪지 드래곤, 그거는 제가 나중에 따로 뭐 하게 되면 녹화본을 따로 만들어서 아마 유튜브로 올리지 않을까 생각이 드네요. 2부로 이제 가도록 합시다.